Hello and welcome to this episode of Break Panel Sports. I'm John, joined alongside Joel. Big basketball moment over this past couple of weeks. It's been
Yeah,
popping, and we are back here on the mic. We've had a couple weeks. We've kind of been making some TikToks, like some, I guess, what podcasters are supposed to do.
check those out.
Check those out, Break Panel Sports, mainly on TikTok, and there we are. But now we're back on what the real core of this is. We're here with an episode on Break Panel Sports. I'm John, joined alongside Joel. Joel, how we doing?
I feel like I'm doing better than you, but then again, your team's up 3-1 in the NBA Finals,
I'm
but
feeling great. Yeah, I don't know what
you
I'm feeling
sure?
great. Yeah,
Are you
my team is
positive?
up 3-1 in the NBA Finals.
I'm just saying, you're 3 games away from history, though. That would be insane.
It would be fun to watch
It
from
would
an
be
objective
absolutely insane.
basketball fan perspective. However, I'm not an objective basketball fan of the situation as a Celtics fan, but it's just not. I don't see it happening. Luca's too
Oh,
banged up. Kyrie hasn't been consistent enough. A
but
3-0
here's the thing,
comeback
like,
is not happening.
yeah, like you want your team to win, but also, like, at least for me, I don't know about you. I want to see a good series. Okay, it's
That
gonna be so.
too. Yeah.
It's boring if it's a sweep. It's boring. It's like I wanted Dallas to win. I didn't want them to get blown out, but
Right.
I didn't want Boston to blow them out.
You
Sorry,
want
to
you
get
want
blown out. But
every sports fan wants a 7-game series. You want a 7-game series. You
yeah,
want every game to come down to the wire. You don't want blowouts. We've had two really games that weren't that close. And even some of the closer games, quote unquote, weren't really that close, except for game three was a really good game.
yeah,
Luca fouling out, Kyrie playing well, but game one was very Boston. Obviously, you're in Boston. Game three was probably the best game of this series,
Game
but
three, it just fell apart in the fourth quarter. That's
it
really all
did,
for
yeah. And
Dallas.
Luca fouling out, but that was a cool storyline. It would have been much cooler if it was a 1-1 series and Boston had taken
Yeah,
a 2-1 advantage. Obviously, I'm sitting there going, "Oh my goodness, we're up 3-0 in the NBA Finals. It's over." But obviously, you can't count your chickens before they hatch, and anything is possible when you have Luka Doncic on the other side, when Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively decide to show up in this series. Tim Hardaway Jr. has his game, but so I guess I got to ask this question. It's basically the question that we've asked each other before we really got into this. By the way, today we're also going to talk about the Lakers head coaching search later on the show and
mm,
whatever else happens to come up. But that's our focus today. We got to talk about this NBA Finals right now. The Boston Celtics lead 3-1 in the finals. Game 4 was last night that we just watched. An embarrassment for Boston. But Joel, do you think the 3-0 comeback, I guess now a 3-1 comeback, is possible? Is possible?
well, Kyrie's done it. So
He hasn't done
that's the thing.
3-0.
Well,
No
no, he
one's
hasn't gone
done
three.
3-0. This is unprecedented.
But he's done 3-1, and 3-1 is the case right now. That's what I mean. I I
Right.
I I I look at this and okay, first of all, Boston did not play Boston basketball last night. They just didn't.
Not even close.
They did it. Okay, so like first of all, Kyrie and Luca, okay, they shot 1 for 14 from 3 and they still managed to blow them out.
Yep.
So, how did this happen? The way I look at it right now, and I think it's pretty clear for me, Derek Lively, rebounds. That I think that is pretty clear for me. I think that's why Porzingis, they at least wanted to make him available. Obviously, he didn't play, but they at least putting that he's available. I don't know if that was supposed to be some sort of mind game. If I was supposed to be like, like, oh, Al Horford's gonna have this crazy game. Xavier Tillman's gonna go out there get some minutes, but Boston had 31 rebounds and Dallas had 52. Okay. Dallas had 13 offensive rebounds and Boston only had 4. I look at this game. If you I was saying this for like multiple games of of other series. If you could control the pace of the game and you could control the rebound, the NBA finals, it's all about runs. Who could go on the most runs? Once you go on a run, the game's over. We knew the game was over by halftime. Let's be
Yeah.
real. We knew the game was over. Once Dallas was up 30, it was like, yeah, there's just no way. There's absolutely no way. And of course it wasn't gonna happen. And then you see the bench warmers. I want to say the other thing, but like yeah, the bench warmers were all going out there in like what 5 minutes into the third quarter. That like that's no one wants to see that. That sucks. So I don't think the Celtics really played like the Celtics yesterday. I don't think they did. I just think they saw Dallas went on a run. Let's rest all of our starters. We're not winning this game because we want to win this back at Boston. That's what I think is going on here. That's what I think what happened here. I'm not saying they waved the white flag here, but also I think they looked at it and just said, Dallas is going on too big of a run right now. We're down 30. We got 3 more chances to do this, and I just don't think tonight's our night. That's honestly what I think will happen.
I think this is more of a I'm not worried about what happened after you go down by 30. I'm not worried about that. The fact that you went down by 30 is the problem, not what you did afterwards, right? I think Boston, maybe not Joe Mazzulla, but it looked like these players, they came out flat. Right at the gate, this was all Dallas from the jump. They thought Dallas was just going to roll over and die. I think that's what they thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
They headed into this game thinking we are going to win the championship tonight, whether we play well or not. And
Yes.
they played terribly. And Dallas came out like their life was on the line. Like this was everything. Like this was the NBA finals. And they played like it. This was the Dallas team that we know. I mean, Boston scoring 84 points in an NBA finals game is not going to be the standard for the next potentially 3 games. I think it's only going to take one in Boston. This series ends on Monday night. I hope we understand this. If it
I
goes to
think so
6,
too.
sure. I mean, we saw the Rangers and I believe it was the Panthers. I forget if it was the Canes or the Panthers. It was the Canes. It was the Canes. Excuse me. Rangers Hurricanes, right? The Rangers were up 3-0. They went up 3-0. Carolina made it 3-2. And nobody for a second was really thinking that this was going to end without a Ranger victory to the Eastern Conference Finals. These things happen. It's very rare that you see a 3-0 team go and make it a 6-game series. It's very rare. It's very rare you even see them make it a 5-game series. But Boston has done the whole gentleman sweep thing before. This has happened already. Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell having his great game. Obviously, that was game 2. But the only team they were able to finish off was the Pacers. They finished off the Pacers because, well, everybody got hurt, obviously. No one's really been out for Dallas. Luka's been on the injury report every night, but he's still playing well. Obviously, cried a little bit less to the officials last night. But I think Boston, this was their game where they just kind of got too ahead of themselves. They thought that the Dallas Mavericks were going to roll over. They got to come out strong to start out game 5. I think you have to win game 5. I think it's a must-win game. I think they do win that game, but I think you have to win that game. It's just obviously it's the NBA Finals. You have to win every game if you want to win it all. But you want to give Dallas all the momentum heading back to their own court. That would be tough. I mean, all it takes is one more win.
It really does.
That's how it always. That's a mentality for Dallas. One more win, one more win. Even same thing with Boston. One more win. So it's going to be a tough. I don't think Game 5 is going to be easy. It's going to be tough though.
Why do you think they made Porzingis available, even though clearly we know, you know, I'm not gonna say what the injury was because I think a lot of NBA fans are confused by what exactly his injury is, but it's like a torn tendon in the leg. It's basically
Yeah.
what it is for the most part. So why have him available if it's pretty clear as day he shouldn't even be like walking right now?
So I don't want to sit here and assume what his injury is. Assume I mean obviously we know the injury, but
Yeah.
assume how bad it is. Assume how it affects him playing. Because I think if he was ready to play, he would have played at some point in this game. Not saying he would have started, but I think possibly that they might have just made him available. They say you could walk, right? Okay, we want you on the floor when we win the championship. We want to have you ready. We want to put you on the floor. If we're up by 20 and we can win the finals, I want to put you on the floor because you put in the work. I think that might have been a possibility that they just
Uh,
knew that he can go if he really needed to go. Maybe not play, but again, if they're up, they want him on the floor. I think that could have been part of it. Or if they really needed a big man, they needed someone to protect the rim, and it was a close game, and they needed somebody, and people started fouling out. He's available. That's the wording is interesting because you usually don't hear it like that.
yeah.
Usually, when a player comes back from injury, you don't hear he's available. I mean, they say that, but they say Kristaps Porzingis will play, not that he's available to play. It's a very
Right.
different wording. So it could have been something to throw off Dallas, thinking they have to plan for Porzingis when it comes to the rotations and all of that. But I think when you hear he's available and not going to play, he's not going to play. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play the rest of the series.
I
It
was gonna
wouldn't surprise
say,
me.
you really do you think that him not being available in this series is gonna make it at least a 6-game series? Because I saw that pretty evident last night when Boston couldn't grab a rebound. They
Right.
just couldn't.
But Dallas is a big team. When you have Gafford, you have Lively. I think that had a big part to do with it. Obviously, Porzingis wasn't starting, and
Right.
they had to go off to some tough starts in this series so far, and a lot of that had to do with the size of Dallas. So it's going to be a big Al Horford moment. It's going to be a big. I mean, you're going to need significant minutes from Xavier Tillman, from even Luke Cornett if he's around. You need your backup. This is why you traded for Xavier Tillman because you need to match up with some of these teams in terms of size. So yeah, they could definitely. I mean, I'm not. They can make it a 6 game series based off their size alone. I mean, Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford were jumping out the gym against this team. It was barely a fight. I mean, at that point, Boston had kind of laid down, but seeing them dunk all over the place, it was tough. It was tough to
Yeah.
watch as a Celtics fan because it
At that
makes you
point
think it's
at that point,
possible.
they were just having fun. That's
They were
really
having
all they were
fun.
doing.
Now it's possible. I think it's very possible you see a 3-0 comeback. I don't think it's going to happen. But with how well Dallas has played this postseason, some of the comebacks they've made in some series and some games individually, yeah, they can do it. They can make it a 6 game series. They can bring this to 7. I think they'll be too tired by the time you bring it to 7.
I think
Boston.
I saw a stat yesterday, like, because we were on FanDuel, right?
Yeah.
Just, like, checking for, like, bets or whatever. We saw a stat where literally the Celtics the Celtics had better odds of blowing the series than winning the game.
Yeah. That's how
Like,
bad it was.
yeah, it was literally that bad. Like, they actually had, like, the possibility of a 3-0 comeback happening more likely than them winning this game by halftime.
They were down by 35 or whatever it was. It was really it
But
was just
still,
it was
you've seen
absurdly
those
poor.
kinda comebacks before, though, in games.
Not
It's
this bad.
happened.
No, in
But
the
it's
NBA
happened.
finals, not a 35 to 40 point comeback. I haven't really seen that. Can you name one?
Oh, not off the top of my head,
I
but I
I
can
don't think
think of
I
it,
don't know
but
what is the largest comeback in NBA finals history? I don't know.
or at least just, like, in a game.
Well, that's different. Like a regular season game. I don't know. I'm gonna do some googling. I mean,
If I
obviously, you mentioned the Celtics 2008. They've been talking about that a lot. 24 points. That was 24 points.
oh, it's 24?
That's the biggest comeback in NBA Finals history. Is a 24-point comeback in 2008 by the
It's
Boston
not
Celtics.
that, aw.
Their last championship. I don't know about 40. Yeah, they were
It was
down.
it was very unlike Boston basketball yesterday, though,
Yeah,
overall.
it was not Boston basketball.
That like if I'm being honest, if I'm being serious about this, like I do think the series is over on Monday
Yeah,
because one of the things that I was critiquing was just that it sucks when the team wins the championship on the away court. That sucks. I
yeah.
absolutely hate that because like, your fans aren't really there, not all of them at least. And, you know, if you're home, it makes it that much more special, you know?
It does. No,
So
it's big. Yeah.
So that's what I like most about, like, teams that win championships, like, winning at home, and you don't really see that all that often.
I think a lot of the time you do usually see, yeah,
Cause,
a team will
cause
win it on
like,
the road.
yeah, cause I think you saw it in Denver, like, Denver won at home, I think Milwaukee won at home, but after that, like,
Yeah,
everyone else won away.
yeah. It's been a lot of away. I think well, a lot of the time you see because most series they end in 6, especially in
Yeah,
the NBA Finals. They end in 6, and obviously the best team is usually the higher seed. The team that wins is usually the higher seed, and Game 6 is usually on the road. So they usually end up winning the finals on the road in Game 6 because you don't usually see a lot of Game 5s, series ending in 5. It's usually ending in 6.
mhm.
9 times out of 10, it feels like. So it's only natural that these series end on the road. Just how it is.
Let me ask you this, though. Let's say history is made
Yeah.
and Dallas comes back and wins this series. What do the Celtics do in the offseason?
I think you do the same thing that you would do if you won it all.
Nothing?
I mean, you were 1 game away from the NBA finals at that point.
But also this team blew a 3-0 lead.
That doesn't mean you blow it up and fire Missoula, if that's
Well,
what you're kinda
I'm not
going.
saying you fire Mazzulla. I'm just saying is there pieces that you move around. I mean, Al Horford's 38. You think he's gonna come back?
It's up to him. If he wants to come back and try it again, it's up to him. It's the same exact mentality I have if you win on Monday. When it comes to the champ, if they win it all or whether they blow a 3-0 lead. I have the same because you're either thinking run it back or run it back. There's only two options. So you're building the best team for a championship. I think you probably want to draft a backup big man that's a little bit better, a little bit younger, has some fresh legs. Obviously, again, like you mentioned, Al Horford's not getting any younger. I don't think Tillman really comes back. Um, and nobody's going to trade Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, any Porzingis, any of that kind of like. Derek White, you still re-sign him no matter if you win the finals or not. You just bring back this team and try it again. The East is still not where you want it to be if you're an Eastern Conference fan. It's still fairly weak, in my opinion, compared to the Boston Celtics at the very least. You're going to win the East again if you're Boston, in all likelihood, unless if the Knicks pull something. It's the same mentality. Some people were saying fire Missoula if they didn't make the finals. It's the same. The guy's 38,
Yeah,
35
that
even.
was crazy.
Al Horford's a 38-year-old. So you just keep. I mean, you're building. You're still building. It's weird, right? You're one away from the NBA Finals, but you're still building something.
Let me tell you something, like, and I mentioned this on a previous episode that I feel like when it comes to the NBA finals, the head coaching battle is really what you look at, like who can out coach the other one.
Yes.
Joe Mazzulla is kicking Jason Kidd's ass
Yeah,
in
he's
this
doing a
series.
great job.
He's killing him right now.
He's doing his thing. Like I think we're seeing. I mean, I think also Jason Kidd maybe doesn't have it. Doesn't have when it
Well,
comes to winning
also,
a
like,
championship.
when you look at Jason Kidd in game 3, I think that was very evident because I remember us talking about it where we were just like, we are like, why is Derek Jones Jr. and Derek Lively, why are they both starting?
Yeah.
And I don't think they played a single minute in the second half,
No, they didn't.
which that was insane to me. He just kept Derek Lively on the court, and obviously they lost when they ran out of gas. And I'm like, would you look at that? That like, it's not rocket science here. This could be a 2-2 series. Like, that's
Managing minutes is very
insane.
important. I think it should be a 2-2 series right now.
It
This
really
should
should be.
it really should be. I mean, obviously it's 3-0 Boston. It was 3-0 Boston before last night, but it didn't feel like 3-0 Boston.
Because
So,
honestly, game 3, they should have won that game. Kyrie played like his
yes.
best game ever.
Yes,
And
if
like,
Luka doesn't foul out, they have a shot.
and Luka, if Luka doesn't foul out, I think there's a 2-2 series.
Yeah. You're going game 5 in Boston, we have a great NBA finals, but I just feel like this is too insurmountable for the Mavericks. I mean, any team can go on a 3-game winning streak. It's a very realistic possibility. I think if there's a chance, it's when you have this great backcourt. We have a young front court like Dallas, and they've got a shot, but Boston's too deep and too good. And if Porzingis plays at all in this series, then it's really over. But you just have to come out swinging game 5, go win the series, end it because I think I've also gotten a lot of people wondering, right? Yes, this is an embarrassing loss for the Celtics. This was awful. That was an awful basketball game. Do you look at this team any differently or whatever, whatever? No one is going to remember game 4 if you win it all.
If you win it all,
You're
yeah.
not going to remember getting blown out by 40 in Dallas. The mentality is going to be, oh, they let him have it. They let him have game 4 so they could win it in Boston for the first time since 2008. Jason Tatum has his ring. No one,
Do you?
even if it goes to 7, it doesn't matter.
I'm about to say because
Won it all.
I've seen some fans call this like like, oh, like one of the easiest rings like ever won if Boston wins. Do you feel that way at all?
Doesn't I don't care. Do we look at Kawhi and his ring is fraudulent because Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant got hurt? No, we look at Kawhi Leonard as a champion.
Because I remember it was like the same thing for like Milwaukee as well
Yeah, there's
with
been
like
easy paths.
with Kevin Durant. Right,
Right.
The Lakers in 2020.
Yeah, that Nets team was injured, but nobody remembers that. Nobody worries about that. I mean, people talked about it the year after. People talked about it, maybe this year every now and then. People, I think people overrate series, an individual playoff series. We always forget them.
Yeah,
We
honestly.
forget the second round of the Eastern playoffs. We forget how the Mavericks got here. We don't really remember that. We're not going
I
to Ant-Man can lose in the Western Conference Finals every single year. We're not going to remember most of it.
I think it's the same for like the Lakers with in 2020 because like it's the iconic Mickey Mouse ring, right?
Right,
Because it was during COVID, and people were like, they took like a few months off, and
right.
it's nobody was really even trying that hard. I think you saw your best basketball
I
during those
loved it.
times.
I loved
I
the bubble.
If anything, I thought like that was like one of the hardest rings to win,
I agree.
and seeing the Lakers win that was like, hey, that's cool. But like people are quick to diminish that because it's the Los Angeles Lakers.
Right.
That's why
It's
people are
also
looking at the
LeBron.
that's why people are looking at the Boston Celtics and being like, okay, well, I mean, come on, who did they really beat? Like, oh, this guy was hurt. This guy was hurt. They swept them. Who cares? Indiana was a young team. Who really cares? And now you look at Dallas. I think Dallas is at their peak right now because, like you said before, no one's really hurt for Dallas,
Right.
and it's like, okay, well, if they win, of course they were gonna win. It's the easiest ring ever. Like, I look at that and I'm like, no, they deserve their flowers. They were the best team all year. What did they lose, like 18 games? Like
64. They won 64 games in the regular season. Won
that's what I'm saying.
64
Like that,
games.
that's insane to me. Like that's
Yeah.
I think I forgot where, but that's like one of the best records from an NBA team like ever in the history
It's
of
up
the
there. Yeah.
NBA.
It's up there.
This should 100% be praised if they win the championship. Now, if they lose, I mean, like this will
Yeah.
go down as like one of the biggest chokes ever. It is probably the
Absolutely.
biggest choke.
It would be the it's the biggest choke in sports history if they lose this.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, we've
No,
had 3-0 comebacks to the NHL, and
Yankees, Red
sure,
Sox are up there for me.
sure,
That's
but
insane.
that was not that was the World Series. That was the
No, but yeah.
yes. I guess 28-3 Atlanta would be up there, but
Uh-huh.
Boston would be up there. If you blow a 3-0 series lead in the NBA Finals as the best team in the NBA by far against a 5 seed, at the end of the day, Dallas is a 5 seed. When you
No,
look
you're
back
right.
on it, when you look back on it in 10 years, you're not going to remember the trade deadline and everything. It's a 1 seed playing a 5 seed in the NBA Finals. You should sweep them. But if you lose 3-0, it's up there. It's top 5. It's
Not to,
over Boston, New York. It's over that.
not to mention, people forget this team was not in the playoffs last year.
Yes, they didn't make the
They were not
playoffs.
in the playoffs. They were in the draft lottery.
They're borderline a play-in team as well.
Yeah.
They had a good end of the year. They made good moves, and yeah, they were a draft lottery team. That's how you get Derek Lively.
Yeah.
So you get Derek Lively, great draft move. Joel, any other thoughts on these current finals? I think we've kind of noshed it
Yeah,
out.
we've notched it out there. I feel like we're good with the boss.
Yeah,
We understand what the stakes are here.
just win game 5. Just win game
Got
5.
to.
Just win game 5. I think my other so we mentioned the Lakers as well. We mentioned the Los Angeles Lakers. I think that was a good segue because
Team LeBron.
Team LeBron, the LeBron Jameses, with all the controversy, I guess if you want to call it that, with all the thoughts about Ronnie James and LeBron and who are they going to draft? Are they going to draft Andrew Hurley with the last pick of the second round? Because Dan Hurley, it was a bombshell at about 7 o'clock in the morning that Dan Hurley was the top candidate and was negotiating for the Los Angeles Lakers job.
I think I
That was
was
real news.
stupid. I believed that for about a good hour, and then I realized he's never gonna do it.
I mean, they were negotiating up until the very
It,
end.
yeah, it was.
He told his players at practice, "Hey, I'm thinking about this.
Yeah.
I'm considering this job," which I respected a ton.
Oh no, for sure.
Most
I just
coaches you see in college football, they hop on a 15-minute Zoom call, they say I'm gone, and they go. And they go to another college. So they have Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly. They don't tell their players they're about to leave. They don't tell their players they're negotiating. Dan Hurley went up in practice. Hey, that news you saw is real. That was awesome. The end of mistake. So good on Dan Hurley. But I mean, I think it was a very big possibility. It was a very big possibility. He thought about it for a long time. I think the news would have came out a lot earlier if it was never a thought. He already got the raise from UConn. I don't even think it was leverage. I think Dan Hurley really
no.
thought about this for a long time. But you look at that family, especially his wife, the rest of his family, and hey, it's not the Knicks job. It's Los Angeles. You want to relocate us out west for a bit of a pay hike, and you have to deal with all the controversy and all the issues around the Lakers job. It's not worth it. Wait until
You're
Tom Thibodeau retires or leaves.
you're joining a drama show. That's
Yeah,
exactly what you're joining. You're not joining the Lake Show. You're joining a drama show. That's
right.
1000% what he'd be doing. I here's my thing, right? First of all, I thought it was very disrespectful the amount of money that they were offering him when Monty Williams in Detroit isn't he getting like way more than
It
it?
wasn't even close to enough.
It wasn't even
Right, Monty
close.
Williams is up there, yeah.
It wasn't even close. That's why I look at that and I'm like, listen, if Detroit's giving this money to Monty Williams, you're telling me the Lakers you can't give more to Dan Hurley, one of the best coaches we've seen in college right now. Like, are you kidding me?
Dan Hurley would have been the 6th highest paid coach in the NBA. He should have
Come on.
if you want Dan Hurley, I think the number if you wanted Dan Hurley to come over, I think it had to start with a 1, the
Well,
dollar signs. I think it had to start with a 1.
I don't know necessarily though if he still would have taken the job. Because here's the thing, like you,
There's definitely a number.
because here's the thing, like you also got to think about like if you're Dan Hurley, you are Connecticut.
Yeah,
You literally are Connecticut. We've won back-to-back titles, okay? One of my players is going to the NBA. He's about to get
2 of them.
drafted. Or 2 of them. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
One of them's going, top 5 potentially.
Right,
But
Clayton and Castle as well.
Castle, I forget about Castle. My fault.
Stephon Castle, great guy. Young player
But
too.
I look at this and I'm like, and we're still a very good team. And UConn's about to make me like they're about to pretty much double my salary.
Yeah.
Almost. And I live in Connecticut. I'm from Connecticut. I'm like, why would I leave?
From Jersey. He's a Jersey guy.
Oh, sorry.
He's a Jersey
I
guy.
meant like, living in there.
East
But
Coast,
like
East Coast legend.
that's what I mean. Like, why would I leave? I don't understand.
Yeah.
And to go all the way to the opposite of the coast, go all the way to Los Angeles for what's out there for me? Am I doing it strictly for the money and strictly because like, oh well, I want to go to the NBA? Is that really it? Is that it? Because if that's the answer, then you shouldn't leave. I don't think you should.
There was no reason for him to leave. Again, I think there's probably 5 jobs that could offer him $100 million and he'd take them. And they're all on the East Coast. But I really do sit here today and I think he will be the next head coach in the next 5 years. Because I think you are getting rid of Tom Thibodeau at
Well,
some
I
point
think
in the
he's
next
gonna
5
go to.
years.
I think he will go to the NBA eventually. I do think he will.
It's a desire for him.
But
I mean, he's in his early 50s. He has some time to make that jump and can get
it's fun
about
because like
10 more years.
you mentioned the Knicks job. I was thinking about the Brooklyn job.
I don't think he'd want that. I don't think he would
I
leave UConn unless if the Nets are willing to offer a contract with a number that starts with a 1. I don't think he'd be able to take. I don't think he would.
Because I think Brooklyn's a huge candidate. Who's even the head coach right now? Do they even have one? I forgot they fired.
They just fired Jack Vaughn, right? Who's the Nets head coach?
That's
What
a
happened over
great
there?
question. I genuinely don't know.
Did they fire him? Jordy Fernandez. Shout out to Jordy Fernandez.
Oh, wasn't he from Phoenix?
He was assistant with the Kings the past 2 years. I don't know
Oh,
if
the
he ever
Kings.
was with Phoenix at some
I had
point.
the coast right, but
Yeah, that was back in April where we were not paying attention to the Brooklyn Nets. I don't think anybody
Okay, let's be
was.
real. It's the Brooklyn Nets. Well, hey, you know what? That might be a reason why he may
But
not want to go to
that's what
Brooklyn.
I'm saying, right? You just said, "Oh, it's the Brooklyn Nets." I mean, even if you're an East Coast guy, even if you're a Jersey guy, I don't think anybody, when you're at St. Benedict's, I don't think anybody's talking about the Brooklyn Nets. They're all Knicks fans, and even some of them are probably Celtics fans or any other team. I'm sorry to the Nets. They're not a respected franchise when it comes to East Coast basketball. They're just the
They're just
Nets.
not.
When it
You're
comes
just the Nets.
to obviously, yes, you got the. I mean, the fact that they blew the era with Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. The Nets when they signed Kevin Durant, when they made this happen, KD, Kyrie, and Harden, you had people talking about the Knicks saying they were done, that it was
Yeah.
a Nets town now, that it was New York City is Nets City. It was there. And if the Nets won a title with that core and maybe kept it together, I think it would have happened. But they blew it. They didn't put the right pieces together and they couldn't make it happen. Obviously, injuries happen. But the
And
Nets
now
were this
you look
close.
and now you look at it now and it's like, why would I ever
Think
sign with
about it.
them? Why
Because
would I
that
ever even think
tainted your
about that job?
franchise. That tainted your franchise. The Barclays is awesome, but Dan Hurley would not go there. I think if Joe Mazzulla got fired tomorrow, Dan Hurley's getting hired.
One thing I want to talk about when it comes to the Lakers, just to get back to this.
Yeah.
Now that Dan Hurley is not gonna be the head coach,
UConn?
do you really think JJ Redick is gonna change anything for the Lakers? I don't. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't
I
see
think
what they see.
I think you could get prime Phil Jackson in that building right now. I don't think you could do anything about this team.
Because
I just don't see a scenario where this team is in a position where they can beat Minnesota, Denver. I don't wanna
the
give
arg
Dallas that yet, but they're right there.
like, the argument with, like, JJ Redick is like, "Oh, he's very smart. He's very
Yes.
smart." Great.
He's
That's
a great
so cool.
basketball mind,
That's
they
so
always say.
cool. Okay, does has he ever been a head coach ever? Like, I'm not saying, like, guys who haven't been head coaches before haven't, like, gotten jobs, like, they look at Steve Nash,
Yeah.
back to the Nets.
Shout
But,
out.
like but I look at JJ Redick, and I think the candidates right now are JJ Redick and James Borrego, the
Yes.
former head coach of the Charlotte Hornets, okay? That's
Right.
not exactly like, ooh, eye candy candidate, you know what I mean? Like,
No.
if you got fired from Charlotte, you're probably not gonna be that great anywhere else. You're probably not.
That was a job you were able to get. I mean, but he's people think he's a good mind. I think he can do a good job. I mean, I don't think anybody again, I think you could put prime Phil Jackson in Charlotte and he's not succeeding either.
I don't see it with JJ Redick. Like, if the news dropped, like, in the next few days, JJ Redick is finalizing a 5-year deal to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, I'm gonna be like, "Wow, what a joke."
Yeah.
That's hilarious to
I
me.
think it's bad for JJ Redick to
That
me.
is bad for JJ Redick.
Unless if he somehow, which I don't think he will, unless if he becomes a very successful head coach and goes the Steve Kerr route early, where he leaves TV and becomes a great NBA head coach and somehow builds a team. Sure. But in all likelihood, he's going to be fired in 2 years. Is ABC he has JJ Redick has the best job in sports television when it comes to a player like him. When it comes to what an NBA player can get, you have the best job in sports television. You're
You're
calling the
commentating
finals
the
every week.
finals. You're commentating the finals.
Calling the finals. So same thing with Steve Kerr. I mean, they're very similar players in terms of what they did in their careers, but Steve waited a little bit. He built his broadcasting crew. JJ Redick has two of the most popular podcasts in terms of sports right now with LeBron and with his own Old Man of the Three, which is awesome. I would imagine Old Man of the Three would not continue if he's the head coach of the Lakers.
No, probably not, no.
That wouldn't make any sense. And if it does, he's probably going to be fired. It's not good for JJ Redick if he just coaches for a year or two and then gets fired. It's not good for him. Does JJ really want to coach, or is LeBron kind of convincing him to come coach? I don't know. I don't think it's good for JJ Redick. I really don't. I don't see a reason why he would want to do this besides a deep desire to pursue coaching.
I think one of the other things I saw was, like, they were comparing this situation to, like, Pat Riley, which, like, I look at that and I'm just like, "Okay, you're talking about, like, arguably one of the best head coaches I've ever freaking seen in my life
Best
ever."
coaches, managers, executives, all that.
But you really think he's gonna be him just because he's a former basketball player and also he's smart.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't see it with JJ Redick. And a lot of these guys, I could understand trying to go younger. They see guys like Missoula,
Right.
right? And the success he's having in Boston is like, oh, we can be that. Getting a JJ Redick, getting a former player, getting somebody who is a very smart individual. It's just it doesn't work nowadays. It works for the simple fact that, like, okay, yes, we want to get younger,
Yeah.
especially at the head coaching job. It
Also Joe Mazzulla's he's so young, but he's been at least an assistant coach since 2011.
Yes. JJ Redick, you're just throwing him into the fire, and not to mention, once he signs that contract, I think he's gonna learn very quickly that this is not his team, this is LeBron's team as long as he's
Yeah.
still here. Eh, I mean, not only that, we're talking about the fact that, oh, we need to draft his son. We need to draft Bronny. And that is strictly for one person, LeBron James. If LeBron was not a factor here, Bronny wouldn't be drafted. You don't know how much he controls this team.
Yeah.
Why do you want to be there? Why would Dan Hurley want to be there? That's not going to be your team. It's going to be LeBron's team.
And also, here's my thought, and I've been kind of thinking about this for a little while now. When it comes to LeBron James and the way that he's handled this team and the way that these final few years in Los Angeles have gone, I'm usually not one to think of when it came to LeBron and the losing with the Lakers after that championship in 2021, 2022. I was never one to say, "Oh, that hurts his legacy quite a bit because he's losing." This
Wow,
is
it hurts
hurting
his
his
legacy.
legacy. This
That would
end of
it would
and
100% hurt his legacy.
it's just hurt, and not just not I'm not talking about his basketball legacy because he's done enough. He's the all-time leading scorer in the history of the National Basketball Association. He's won 4 titles. He's got MVPs. He doesn't have the Defensive Player of the Year. He's not going to win that. That's fine. He's at the very least, the third best player in the NBA to ever play. If you're a Kareem guy, to some. But man, you are falling out of the grace of a lot of people, a lot of NBA fans, because of the way that this has been handled at the end of the road. Because of the way that you've kind of controlled the Lakers. You're making them draft your son. You're trying to get your guy as the head coach and JJ Redick, who's never coached before. It's tarnishing your legacy just a little bit. I really, and you're not going to win. That's the problem. So, right. I mean, LeBron bringing his son on the team. I mean, the Dan Hurley drama was not him. I mean, I wouldn't even know if that was drama. But if JJ Redick becomes a head coach and it's clearly evident that the person in control is not the Buss family and the ownership and the general managers and everybody, that LeBron is controlling a franchise the way that he is, I mean, and they don't win. If they were winning, nobody would care about this stuff. If they were winning, I would be saying LeBron's a genius. But they're not winning. They're getting swept every year.
L- Let's just play out a scenario where, let's say, Bronny gets drafted by literally any other team,
Right.
and LeBron was to opt out of his player option and say, "I want to go sign with that team," like he said he was gonna do.
Right.
He said, "I want to go sign with that team and go play with my son for 1 year." What do the Lakers do from here? Like, what do you think happens with the Lakers?
I mean, the idea is that you what, build around Anthony Davis? You have no
But
choice.
what I mean is, like, with LeBron leaving, does that make that head coaching job more favorable?
In a way, it does.
That's
It
what I
does.
mean, right?
But it
Like,
depends on the direction the Lakers want to go in. If they say we can win right now with Anthony Davis and we can go get a few pieces and they go get Trey Young, I think they're building their team in the incorrect way. If LeBron leaves, you trade Anthony Davis tomorrow.
I would trade him. Yeah, I
If
would.
that's even possible with the contracts and whatever, and if I don't know if he has a clause or any of that stuff, but if it's possible to trade Anthony Davis, you go trade him.
You gotta blow up that team.
You blow up the team. I think they should blow up the team tomorrow, even with LeBron. If you were able to trade LeBron, I thought that was we've talked about this. I thought it was a possibility at the
It
deadline.
was they mentioned it before, like, I mean, it was quickly disregarded, but it was a possibility that they were looking into potentially trading him.
Right, it was a thought. I mean, maybe they'll pick up the phone. Just maybe, if anybody wants him. But this was also my thought about the LeBron Bronny situation. Let's say the Pistons draft Bronny, right? They think he's a young piece that they can add to his team. Is LeBron going to play for the Detroit Pistons?
I don't think so. I
He's
genuinely
not.
don't think so.
Would the Pistons even want LeBron James?
But here's the other thing. It's like, at least for like you and me, right?
Right.
Two teams that were in the playoffs. We pretty much have our team set. Like, I know I'm content with my team. Yeah, I know you're
Yeah.
content with the Celtics, obviously. Let's just say in the second round, the Celtics or the Knicks were to draft Bronny James.
Right.
I genuinely would be upset. I'd be like, "You gotta be kidding me," because now we're gonna be in this LeBron situation where it's like, "Are they signing LeBron? There's
Now,
no way. Are you gotta
here's
be
my
kidding
thing.
me?"
If LeBron is willing to sign a minimum contract
Oh,
to
he'll
play
go.
with his
Yeah, he'll
son,
do that.
but if he's willing to do that, because it's been clear that he wants money from Los Angeles, that's still a thing that he cares about. He's not signing vet minimums. I don't think he is. I don't think he's signing a vet minimum. I don't think he does that to play with his son. I really don't. Unless
I
if he wants to win a championship with the Boston Celtics, sure. Because he
he-
would. You would win a
here's
championship if you were
here's
LeBron.
how I think he would genuinely look at it. It's like, okay, let's say what's the player option, like 49 million? It's around
It's a
40
lot of
something
money.
million.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I think LeBron is saying to himself, if it's gonna cost me 48, 49 million dollars to play 1 year with my son, I'm gonna do it.
It
That's what
costs him way more than that, though.
I think that's what he's gonna potentially do
I think it
because
costs him so much more than that. The fact that he plays in Los Angeles makes him so much more money outside of basketball than if he were to go play for the Orlando Magic with his son. He
but
loses hundreds of millions of dollars potentially.
look at what happened. I know it's a different sport, but look at what happened when Brady signed with Tampa Bay.
Right.
You saw, oh, this guy's getting traded to Tampa Bay. This guy's signing with Tampa Bay. Antonio Brown's going to Tampa Bay. Like, all these, because they're like, oh, we want to play with him. We want to play with the GOAT. And
And
it's
that
like, let's say LeBron, I'm not saying he's going to go to Detroit. I don't think so. But like, let's say he goes to a team like, some like Indiana, like some
yeah.
like young team, but like good. He's like, You're gonna see all these guys. I want to go to Indiana. How can I get to Indiana? Can I get there now? Like everyone's good.
But
He's gonna draw so much attention.
at the end of the day, well, we saw this happen. We saw this happen in Cleveland. They
Yeah,
signed Derrick Rose and Dwayne Wade and Isaiah Thomas, and that team stunk.
they're terrible.
He went to the Lakers, and after they won the championship, everybody, you get Carmelo Anthony. LeBron
Then they
says
get like Dwight Howard and like
Dwight Howard. LeBron says you got to go trade for Russell Westbrook. The Pacers aren't signing any of LeBron's guys. Also, all of LeBron's guys are retired. LeBron has outlasted his guys that want to play with LeBron, that are friends with him. He's outlasted all of them. The Pacers wouldn't sign anybody. They wouldn't break up any. They have this core that they have in their building, and they just made the Eastern Conference
but
Finals.
you know what I mean, right? Like a young team that's like
No, I get the scenario, but again, there's only 15 guys on the basketball team. It's not like football where you go get AB, you go get somebody. There's only 15 guys you can go get, and 2 of them are taken up by LeBron and Bronny. You can only really get one other guy. It wouldn't result in a championship, in my opinion, guaranteed, unless if he signed with a contender, like a true contender. Maybe Indiana, sure. Depends how good 40-year-old LeBron James is.
Dallas
That
signs
depends how
or,
good 40-year-old LeBron is. Depends how good Bronny is. They said he's not going to play in the G League. You got to take up a roster spot with Bronny. You're not signing
I,
Derrick Jones Jr.
I think the draft is going to be very interesting, and it has nothing to do with who has the first overall
And
pick at
why
all,
is it 2 days? I saw it's
right?
2 days now.
Oh yeah. Like the second round. Oh
Second
well,
round's on a separate day.
people are going to be tuning into that second round if Bronny goes undrafted in the first round.
Should have just made it. He's not drafting first. I mean,
Well, I mean, he could go late first. You never know.
I just hope that this is a Bronny specifics change and not a permanent change. Because
Watch, that'd be
there's
funny.
only 30 picks. It's like the NFL if they made the second round a day and the third round a day and the fourth round a day and the fifth round a day. It's they group it together. The NBA is
Yeah,
60 players get drafted. You can do that in a day, a night. I mean, it does
you could
go pretty late, so I get it. But they could have always moved it up a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of trades. There's a lot more trades in the NBA in terms of the
Oh
draft. So
yeah,
maybe they said, okay, we're going to try this out, get people to bed early. But I don't know.
the amount of pain that the Knicks have put me through when they draft someone, and I'm like, oh my god, he's going to the Knicks, and they trade him like 2 seconds later. I'm like, what the?
Duran, yeah. Duran.
Yeah,
Jalen Duran.
Jalen Duren.
Yeah.
That one sucked.
That was pretty bad. Should have kept him.
Yeah.
Should have kept him. But Joel, any final thoughts on the NBA and all that?
I think we're gonna witness here. Nah, we're not gonna witness history. That'd be funny if we did, though.
I think we're witnessing a lot of expected history that's not going to live up.
Yeah, not really.
Oh, the Bronny might go somewhere. Bronny might not even get drafted by the Lakers.
No.
Dan Hurley's going to go to the Lakers. Oh no, it's just going to be JJ Redick. Mavericks, even the Mavericks could win game 5. Oh, the Boston Celtics won game 6. There's a lot of
Never.
unfulfilled expectation, and the boring result a lot of the times wins. That's a lot of the time what happens. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people like to say our good friend of the show, Elon Musk, I guess, likes to say that the more entertaining outcome is always the outcome. A lot of I think it's the complete opposite. What's the most boring outcome? The Boston Celtics win game 5.
That's exactly
What's
what's
the
gonna
most
happen.
boring outcome? James Borrego becomes the coach of the Lakers, and LeBron stays, and Bronny's just there. That's the most boring outcome. It's going to happen. James Borrego's the
Yeah,
coach. Bronny James is sitting on the bench like a Thanasis, and the Lakers are going to get
the,
swept again.
the guy who got fired from Charlotte is gonna be the head coach of
I think he's fine. I think he's a fine coach. I think he's a fine coach.
We'll see.
I think he's better than JJ Redick. How about that?
Yeah, bad probably.
Okay. I think that's all we need. I mean, there's no candidates right now. There's nobody.
No.
There's nobody. But Joel, that'll do it for this episode of Break Panel Sports. Thank you for taking the time out of your night, morning, evening, morning drive, afternoon drive, nighttime drive, whatever commute you got. If you're on the train, on the bus, wherever you are, I think I ran out of places. Thank you so much, all you brunch listeners of this podcast. It's been
Thank
a
you.
pleasure. We will see you another time.
See ya.